good day. So our lesson for today is all about parabola. Standard equation of a translated parabola. So I am Mr. Mario Aquino Jr., teacher in senior high school, major in mathematics, teaching pre-calculus. So for our objective, we need to differentiate parabola that has translated vertex from a parabola which vertex lies on the origin, and apply standard form equation of a parabola that has translated vertex, and graph a parabola that has translated vertex. Okay, bago tayo pumunta sa ating lesson ngayon, magkaroon muna tayo ng some startup questions. So, unang question. So, what does it mean if a parabola has a translated vertex? Ano daw ibig sabihin kapag yung parabola merong translated vertex? So, bago natin yan sagutan, magkaroon muna tayo ng konting recall about din sa previous lesson natin. So, yung sa previous lesson natin, dinefine natin yung parabola at nagkaroon tayo ng general equation ng parabola kapag ang vertex ay naglalay sa origin. So, applicable lang yung general equation na yun sa mga parabola na ang vertex ay nasa origin. Pero, paano kapag yung vertex ng isang parabola ay wala sa origin? So, doon napapasok yung word na translated vertex. Lahat ng parabola na ang vertex ay wala sa origin ay tinatawag na translated vertex. At yung mga general equation na inaral natin ng previous lesson, na kung saan lahat ng example ng parabola natin ay nasa origin yung vertex, ay hindi applicable sa mga translated vertex. So, paano yun? Magkakaroon tayo ngayon ng mga panibagong equations na i-apply natin sa mga parabola na mayroong translated vertex. So, pangalawang question, what general equations can you use for a parabola when the vertex has been translated? So, dito napapasok yung mga bagong equation natin. Bagong general equation na isang parabola na kapag meron siyang translated vertex. So, kung maaalala natin, meron tayong dalawang orientation ng parabola. So, una, kapag yung parabola natin is either opening upward or downward. At dito na papasok yung vertical axis. Yung axis na sinasabi dito ay yung axis of symmetry. So, gagamitin natin itong general equation na to kapag ang parabola natin ay mayroong vertical axis of symmetry, o sa madaling sabi, yung opening ng parabola natin is either upward or downward. And yung pangalawang orientation ay yung opening sideways. At meron siyang horizontal axis of symmetry. Ganito yung example. At ito yung gagamitin nating equation. Okay, let's move on to the standard equation of a translated parabola. So, meron tayong apat na orientation ng parabola na pag-usapan o i-discuss from here. And, unahin na natin yung vertical axis. So, in vertical axis, pag unang i-discuss natin is when the parabola is opening upward, and this is the equation we will going to use. And dito sa equation na to, mayroon tayong three required values na laging hinahanap. The value of RH, P, and also the value of RK. So, these three values ay makakatulong sa atin sa pag-locate ng bawat part ng parabola. At makakatulong rin sa atin to sa pagka-graph ng bawat parabola. So, unahin na natin yung vertex. So, sa vertex, if we already know the value of RH and also the value of RK, mahanap na natin o malulocate na natin yung vertex, which is located always at H, comma, K. So, next, the location of our focus is always H, comma, K plus P. So, K plus P, tandaan po natin yan. So, why K plus P? Let's see here. So, from the x-axis up to our vertex, the value of our y-coordinate is already K value. And from the vertex to the focus, the distance is P. So, kapag gusto natin malaman yung distance ng focus natin mula sa x-axis, we need to add K and then P. At yun na yung ating y-coordinate, K plus P. Next, the equation of our directrix is always y is equals to K minus P. Kanina K plus P, and then ngayon K minus P. But why K minus P? So, gusto natin malaman yung distance nito. But how can we know the distance of our line of directrix to the x-axis? So, tignan natin from x-axis to the vertex. From x-axis to the vertex, meron tayong K. And then, kapag sinubtract natin yung distance na to, which is P, makuha na natin yung value o yung distance here. So, kaya siya naging K minus P. And then next, the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry, kapag meron na tayong value ng H, is always x is equals to H. So, mahalagang malaman natin yung tatlong required values, the H, the K, and the P. So, we will go next. In vertical axis again, but now the orientation of our parabola is now opening downward, and we will use the standard equation, yun pa rin, but this time it is negative 40 instead of positive 40. Kapag downward, gagamitin natin negative 40. And punta na tayo sa location ng bawat parts. So, the location ng ating vertex is always H, K. And then the location of our focus is H, K minus P, but YK minus P. So, from the x-axis up to the vertex, so, ang distance nun is K. At yun yung ating y-coordinate for our vertex. But we need to find the distance between the x-axis up to our focus. Yun yung kailangan natin makuha ang distance. Pero, paano natin makukuha yun? If we have K minus this distance, which is P. So, meron tayong K minus P at yun yung distance na yun. So, kaya yung y-coordinate natin is K minus P. So, let's go to the line of our directrix. Line of our directrix is y is equals to K plus P kapag ang orientation is opening downward. So, yk plus P. So, tingnan natin. So, meron tayong K plus P here. Doon natin matatagpuan yung line of directrix. And then next, the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry in vertical axis, even though it is opening upward or downward, it is always x is equals to the value of our h. So, let's now go to the horizontal axis. When the orientation of our parabola is opening to the right. So, ito yung example natin. So, ngayon mababago ng konti yung ating standard of equation, but the 4p here is positive. Positive pa rin. So, tandaan natin itong equation na to. And then next, yung location ng bawat parts ng ating parabola. So, vertex is located at H, K. And the location of our focus is located at H plus P, K. So, why H plus P? So, alam natin kung bakit K. Pareha silang K ng vertex. Because they are aligned vertically. Naka-align sila parehas vertical. Parehas yung distance nila doon sa x-axis. Kaya parehas silang K. But, yung distance nila mula sa y-axis ng vertex ay magkaiba sa distance ng focus mula sa y-axis. So, tignan natin. So, yung distance ng vertex mula sa y-axis is h. So, kailangan natin idagdag yung distance na to para makuha natin yung x-coordinate ng ating focus. At yung distance ng distance nito mula vertex hanggang focus is P. So, if we have H plus P, yun yung ating X coordinate sa focus. Kaya siya H plus P. So, next is the line of our directrix. So, X is equals to H minus P. So, H minus P naman yung sa line of directrix natin. But why H minus P? So, again, tignan ulit natin yung distance from the y-axis hanggang doon sa vertex natin. That is H. At kailangan natin mahanap yung distance ng y-axis sa ating line of directrix. Yun yung kailangan natin mahanap. So, para mahanap yun, we need to subtract this distance to RH para mahanap natin yung distance na to. At yung distance na to mula sa line of directrix hanggang sa vertex is also P. So, H minus P yung ating line of directrix. Doon matatagpuan niya ating line of directrix. And next is the axis of symmetry. So, tandaan natin kapag vertical axis, yung axis of symmetry, it is always X is equals to H. But pag horizontal axis, the axis of symmetry is always Y is equals to the value of our K. Y is equals to K. So, for the last one, horizontal axis, but this time the opening of our parabola is opening to the left. Yung standard equation na gagamitin natin is yun pa rin, but this time magamit tayo na yung negative 4p. Tandaan natin kapag to the left, we should use negative 4p. Ito tayo sa location of parts ng parabola. So, vertex is always at H, K. The focus is located at H minus P, K. H minus P, K. So, why H minus P? So, tingnan natin sa graph. So, tingnan natin yung x-coordinate ng ating vertex. So, from the y-axis hanggang sa ating vertex, yung x-coordinate natin is H. We need to find the distance between y-axis at doon sa ating focus distance nito. Paano natin mahanap yung distance no? If we subtract this distance doon sa ating H, makakuha na natin yung distance no. But ano yung distance nito? So, the distance nito is P. The distance between focus and vertex is always P. And if we have H minus P, ito yung distance na yun. So, kaya siya H minus P. Next, the line of our directrix is located at X is equals to H plus P. So, H plus P na siya. Kanina, H minus P. Ngayon, H plus P. But why H plus P? So, tignan natin ulit from the vertex to the y-axis. Meron tayong H. But we need to find hanggang dito yung distance ng ating directrix. Ano yung distance nito? At distance nun ay syempre P pa rin. So, if we have H plus this distance P, matatagpuan na natin yung ating line of directrix. So, last, the axis of symmetry. Gaya na sabi ko kanina, kapag horizontal axis, the axis of symmetry is always y is equals to the value of K. So, yun na yung apat na orientation ng ating translated parabola. So, ito na tayo sa problem sets. So, for our next example, we need to find the standard form equation of the parabola given the vertex which is located at 2, -3 here, and we also have the location of our focus which is located at 2, -5. So, focus is located below the vertex, and because of the location of the vertex and the focus, this must be a vertical parabola that opens down like this one. And the equation for this orientation of the parabola na gagamitin natin is x minus h quantity squared is equals to 4p quantity y minus k. And since we already have the location of our vertex which is 2, -3, meron na rin tayong value for our h and k, where h is equals to 2, yun yung ating x-coordinate, and k is equals to negative 3, and that is the y-coordinate of our vertex. And to find the value for p, we need to find the distance between the vertex and the focus. And from this graph, focus is 2 units away from the vertex. So, ang value ng p natin is 2. And since we have h, k, and p, we need to substitute that 3 values to this equation para mahanap natin standard form of equation ng ating parabola. And kapag sinubstitute na natin, so yung equation will become like this, and solving it further. So, ito na yung equation ng ating standard form given yung vertex and the focus. And kapag hinanap natin yung line of our directrix, yung line ng directrix ng ating parabola, the vertex is midway between the focus and the directrix. So, the directrix for this orientation of parabola is y is equals to negative 1. So, matatagpuan siya dito. Tandaan natin kung gaano kalayo yung focus doon sa vertex, ganun din kalayo yung ating line of directrix doon sa vertex, but in opposite way. Kung ang ating focus is going or located below of our vertex, so yung ating line of directrix is located naman above the vertex. So for our last example, we need to graph a parabola with an equation given y plus 3 quantity squared is equals to 4 quantity x plus 1. And we need to find the vertex, the focus, and the directrix. And then we need to graph the parabola. So, tignan natin yung ating equation. So, yung equation na to is in the form y minus k quantity squared is equals to 4p quantity x minus h. So, kung mapapansin natin kagad dito sa ating equation, makita na natin yung value ng ating h and k, yung vertex. If we get the inverse of positive 3, we will get negative 3, and the inverse of positive 1, which is negative 1, at yun yung magiging value ng ating h. So, our vertex is located at negative 1, negative 3. So, here. So, the parabola is horizontal and opens to the right. Dahil sa equation na ito yung orientation ng ating parabola. And since we have h and k dito sa ating vertex, hanapin na lang natin yung value ng ating p. So, doon sa original equation, sa given equation, pansinin natin yung 4 here. Yung 4 here represents the value of our 4p. So, to find the value of p, we need to equate 4p is equals to 4. And dividing both sides of this equation by 4, we will get the value of our p, which is equals to 1. And now we have the value of our h, k, and p. So, hanapin na natin yung ating focus and also the line of our directrix. So, yung ating focus is, since ang parabola natin is open to the right, so ang ating focus is located from the right of our vertex, which is here. The location of our focus is 0, negative 3. And kapag ginamit naman natin yung 3 required values, alam natin na ang ating focus is located at h plus p, k, where h is equals to negative 1 plus p, which is 1. So, negative 1 plus 1 is 0. So, yun yung x-coordinate. And negative 3, yun yung value ng ating k. So, parehas pa rin sila. Either tignan lang natin sa graph, analyze natin yung graph, or gamitin natin yung 3 required values, the same pa rin yung makukuha. So, next is yung line of our directrix. So, kaya na nasabi ko, yung distance ng focus of vertex is the same as the distance between the vertex and our line of directrix, but in opposite way. Kung ang ating focus ay matatagpuan to the right of our vertex, yung ating line of directrix naman is matatagpuan to the left of our vertex. The location of our, or the equation of our line of directrix is x is equals to negative 2. And kapag ginamit natin yung 3 required values para malocate yung ating line of directrix, so meron tayong x is equals to h minus p. And we all know that h is negative 1. And minus p, which is 1, negative 1 minus 1, we will have x is equals to negative 2. So, parehas pa rin sila. So, now, kailangan natin i-graph ang ating parabola. To graph our parabola, kailangan natin mag-set ang table of values. Gamit yung equation here, yung original equation. So, mag-set tayo ng values for y and i-substitute natin sa given equation to find the value of our x. So, if y is equals to negative 1, x is 0. So, tatagpuan natin yung here. Pa-plot natin yung points. And if y is equals to negative 5, x is 0. So, dito. And if y is equals to 1, x is 3. And if y is equals to negative 7, x is 3. And i-draw na natin yung ating parabola, which is this one. So, the parabola is horizontal and opens to the right.